When 21 Pilots released their video entitled I Am Clancy in 2024, it answered a good number of questions and confirmed a fair amount of theories, laying out the story up until the point at which the album Clancy would pick up. However, it still left a good deal unexplained, including a number of details which might seem insignificant on first glance, but could prove to be much more important if examined more closely. For instance, about a quarter of the way through the video, Clancy provides us with a bit more context about the bishops of Dema and where their power and authority comes from. But he doesn't explain how they came to power in the first place. In fact, while this video did do a lot of work to lay out the particular events of the story, it didn't provide us with any kind of history of Dema, or explain why Clancy is an exception to the rule. But that's for another video. But back to the bishops. You may be wondering, why is this question important? Why do we need to know how the bishops came to power? The fact is, they are in power and must be destroyed. Well, knowing the history of how they gained their power might in fact hold the key to understanding how they could lose their power. Now, I'm not claiming that there's some sort of hidden clue which, when solved, instantly tells us the plain facts of their history. But I do think that we can weave together the various strands of what we have been told in order to assemble a reasonable guess as to what may have happened. In the I Am Clancy video, we are told two things about the bishops. Their power comes from a hijacked religion and a miraculous power. The miraculous power obviously refers to seizing, which we already know a fair bit about. But what is the hijacked religion? Certainly this implies that there was already some kind of religion in place before the bishops instituted vialism, or at least their form of vialism. There's always a chance that vialism was in fact the religion that was hijacked. However, I am more inclined to believe that that is not the case, given particular things we see throughout Clancy's journal, for instance. But perhaps even that will become more clear as we unpack how this hijacking took place. Again, we do not have the details of this moment explicitly laid out before us. But maybe if we pause and take a step back, it will become more clear. How did blurryface come into existence? Now, I touched upon this in my video analysis of the song Clear. Essentially, it seems to me that Tyler Joseph created blurryface in order to give a face and a name to his insecurities. Or to put it a bit more broadly, he visualized and externalized what he was struggling with, in the hopes that if he were able to come face to face with his fears, he might better be able to understand and overcome them. But this experiment went horribly wrong. Blurryface began to gain power and control over Tyler, and has yet to be defeated. And we know that Blurryface is the same as Nico, the leader of the 9 bishops of Dema. So if that is how he gained his power, perhaps that is how all the other bishops gained theirs. There was no coup or overthrowing of the established order. Their power was given to them. Perhaps unwittingly given, but given nonetheless. So were there 9 people in the city of Dema who all conducted the same experiment, leading to the 9 corresponding bishops? Perhaps, but perhaps not. Consider this. As discussed in a previous video, let us suppose that Clancy was one of a group of people who sought solace in the city of Dema, who saw it as a place to recover from a traumatic event, or to cope with and overcome something they were struggling with. As a part of this process, Clancy conducted that experiment, splitting himself into 2 faces, himself and Blurryface. But it began spiraling out of control. He saw that Blurryface was getting too strong and too powerful. So in his desperation, Clancy created 8 more versions of himself, each of which represented a different insecurity, hoping that through this, he could divide and conquer. But Blurryface remained powerful, and brought all the rest under his sway. Together they took over Dema, rejecting a religion of hope, and replacing it with a religion of despair. It is for this reason that Clancy wears red, and must play such a central role in destroying the bishops. Because he is the one who created them, and gave them their power. If he does not destroy them, he will become them, because they already contain a part of him. But what do you think? With that being said, thank you for watching, and be sure to comment your own thoughts on this theory below. And don't forget to subscribe for more music commentary and reviews.